Hello everybody, Sorbeaten here and welcome back to another mathematics video. In this video, we'll be looking at some past paper questions and we'll be tackling some Geo and Trigs multiple choice type questions. So let's head straight into the first question. So this question says, AC and DE are straight lines intersecting at B. Angle DAB is 58 degrees. The measure of angle ABE is, so first of all, which one is angle ABE? So ABE would be this angle here. So they want the measure of that angle. So first of all, we see a straight line is formed. Let me get another color. So we see a straight line is formed right here. So in order to get the measure of ABE, we simply need to minus 58 from 180. So you say 180 minus 58. So we don't have calculators in paper. So let's practice without a calculator. So this 8 will be turned to 7. So we have 10, subtract 8 would be 2. And 5 from 7 would be 2. So we have 122 as the answer. So this here answer is B, 122. As easy as that. Next question says, so we have a triangle going on, a right angle triangle. So it says from diagram above, sine C is. So we're talking about sine C. That means we're talking about the angle C. So let's label this triangle here. So here would be the opposite since we're talking about C. Opposite the right angle would be the hypotenuse. So here would be the hypotenuse. And here would be the adjacent. So we can say sine C. So we know for sine, the ratio of sine would be some old horses. So it's opposite over hypotenuse. So we can say sine C is equal to the opposite, which is 5, over the hypotenuse, which is, so we don't know the hypotenuse here, so we need to find for the hypotenuse. So we see we need to find the hypotenuse because we don't know the hypotenuse. So we know the hypotenuse is the longer side and we have two other sides. So the Pythagoras' theorem should come to mind. So the Pythagoras' theorem says the square of the longer side, in this case is the hypotenuse. So when you say the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the two remaining sides. So the two remaining sides would be 5 squared plus 12 squared. So the hypotenuse squared would be 5 5s 25 plus 12 12s 144. So the hypotenuse squared would be 25 plus 144 is 169. So the hypotenuse will be equal to, we take over the square, become the square root. The square root of 169, and we don't need a calculator to find this because this is equal to 13. So the hypotenuse is equal to 13. So sine C would be opposite over hypotenuse. And in this case, the hypotenuse would be 13. So we had to find the hypotenuse here. So this here would be 5 over 13, which is A. So we have another diagram. So the diagram, not drawn to scale, shows that the angle of depression of a point X from Z is 35 degrees. If X is 12 meters from Y, the height YZ in meters is, so YZ would be this angle, this. So YZ would be this line here. So you want to find that. So first of all, we know we're dealing with a Z angle. These two lines are parallel. So here would be Z angle. So if here is 35, we know here would be 35 as well. So that's the first thing we need to put in. So they want us to find what is this here. So we see we're dealing with a right angle, so we need to use we need to use the trig ratios. So we know here would be the opposite, and we see here would be the hypotenuse, and we see here would be the adjacent. So we see we are given the adjacent, and we want to find the opposite. So let's see which ratio deals with that. So we see some old horses can always hear their owners approach. So we see which ratio has the opposite and adjacent. So we see tan ratio has the opposite and the adjacent. So we can say tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So you can say tan theta in this case is 35 is equal to the opposite, which is YZ over the adjacent, which is 12. So to solve for YZ, we just take over this 12. The 12 is divided, we take the whole multiplies. We'll have 12 multiplied by tan 35 is equal to YZ. So we see this answer here is 12 tan 35, which is C. So let's move on to the next question. This one says, if O is the center of the circle, then Y degrees is, so we see O would be the center, so we're talking about the angle at the center. And then we have this angle here, this other angle that they give us, which is the angle of the circumference. So you see there in the same arc, we have AOB, and this one here is ACB. So we know the theorem says the angle at the center is twice the angle of the circumference. So because here is 50 degrees, angle Y would be 50 times 2, which would be 100 degrees, which is D. So the answer there is D. So with that, this has brought me to the end of this video in which I tackled some paper 1 type questions for Geo and Trigs. And I want you to keep practicing, and my exam date is coming up very sharply. So until then, I'll see you in the next video and keep practicing. Take care.